avoided. Our family will be deranged, as I must soon follow him. As far as she was concerned, their family upsets, icy wintertime journeys, and makeshift lodgings during the 8 years of the American Revolution had been enough sacrifice for a lifetime. Many politicians' wives stayed back home while their husbands served in the Capitol, but Martha Washington wasn't like many wives. When her husband heard the call of duty, she sometimes argued passionately against it, but in the end she always went along. Whether as planter, lawmaker, general, or president, George Washington relied on Martha emotionally. He needed her with him, and that's where she wanted to be. Dismayed as she was at this first upheaval, she forged ahead with her preparations while awaiting the return of the coach and horses from New York. Every day was filled with arrangements great and small. On May 3rd, Washington's secretary wrote to George Augustine Washington, his favorite nephew, at Mount Vernon. He urged the younger Washington to hurry Mrs. Washington along, for we are extremely desirous of seeing her here. She ignored the suggestion until she was ready to go. Whole wardrobes of clothing for herself, her husband, and the 2 grandchildren who would accompany her to New York, as well as a multitude of household items necessary for the family's comfort and pleasure in a rented house. A month hardly seemed long enough to organize such a move. Decisions had to be mulled over with George Augustine and his wife, Martha's own favorite niece, Fanny Bassett Washington. The young couple would be in charge at Mount Vernon during the presidency. Long-term visitors had to be sorted out. A nephew was summoned from New Kent County to retrieve his teenage sister, who had been staying with the Washingtons for the past 9 months. Another nephew and his new bride, making a round of extended family visits, were abandoned with kisses and regrets. An orphaned niece, unruly and troublesome, was left under Fanny Washington's kind supervision. Travel was always uncomfortable and sometimes dangerous. What with coach breakdowns, runaway horses, overturned ferries, collapsing bridges, flooded fords, unmarked or even undetectable roads, and squalid inns, when there were any at all. Ladies did not travel alone. Mundane arrangements and any and all disasters were the purview of their male escorts. At Washington's invitation, his nephew Robert Lewis arrived on May 14, 1789, to accompany Martha on the trip to the Capitol, where he would serve as one of the president's aides. The next youngest of a large brood, son of George's widowed only sister, Bob Lewis was a fresh-faced young man of 19, something of a mama's boy who loved singing, dancing, and kissing all the girls. Taking his first important responsibility very seriously, he was upset when he found that everything appeared to be in confusion at Mount Vernon. To his chagrin, his aunt refused to leave until the masses of boxes and trunks had been packed and repacked to her satisfaction. Chests and closets ransacked one more time, lost items unearthed, and last-minute matters talked over with George Augustine and Fanny. Gentle, kind, and feminine as she genuinely was, Martha Washington was also strong-willed and determined. Once Bob understood that his aunt would make the important decisions on their trip, he had an easier time of it. Like everyone, he succumbed to her matchless charm and passed a happy couple of days walking about and viewing all the curiosities that was to be seen, while she completed her tasks. Finally, after dinner in the early afternoon and a last round of family tears and farewells, they were ready to leave Mount Vernon on Monday, May 16th. The house servants and a number of the field hands came up to take their leave of their mistress. Numbers of these poor wretches seemed much affected, my aunt equally so. The slaves were also saying goodbye to their relatives and friends who accompanied Martha to